Hi, this is Wayne Brown from Life Back on Track. Welcome to the latest episode. Again, we've been sent in a question by someone. So this is Eddie from Newcastle upon Tyne in the UK. Now, Eddie's sent in a very simple question, and it's one that tickled me because the origins of this question go back a long time. So what Eddie wants to know is, what is it with kids today? Why are they lazy? Why do they feel entitled? And he sort of had a lovely little diatribe about the state of the youth. Now, this was something that tickled me because this is a statement that has been issued by generations before us. In fact, the first time I heard mention of this was many years ago as a scout leader, and I was doing some research on our local area, the history, the buildings and that sort of thing, and I was reading the older newspapers that were decades old from my area where I was at the time. And this particular newspaper was dated in the early 1900s. So you're talking around 100 years prior, or 90 years prior to what I was reading. And the letters in there were, there's all these young people loitering around at night up to no good and all this sort of thing. And they had all these judgments. And then I came across a statement a while later that the ancient Greeks had this same statement they issued. What is it with kids today? They don't want to learn and all of these things. So this is a common, I won't say a problem, but a common challenge that our older generation, like myself, we have as we got older. Now, the main contributors to this statement is we tend to forget, because time softens, we tend to forget a lot of the silly things we did as youths. Or if we do remember, we don't want our youngsters to know, because then that gives them permission to go and do certain things. It gives them ammunition to throw back at us as to why they're not listening. So this is a common problem, Eddie. Most kids in any generation, so I mean the generation that are around us at the moment, that were around when I was young and so on back and further and further, is most kids are good. As humans, we tend to focus on negatives. It's a very easy thing for us to do, to focus on negatives. So what we tend to do is we tend to only notice the unruly ones. It's like when you're at school, it's the naughty kid that gets all the attention because the teacher's trying to get them to behave so that they can teach the rest of the kids. So this one kid gets all the attention. Because they get all the attention, all the other children get not ignored, but their presence seems to diminish. So because of these few people that misbehave, they tend to become representative of the whole generation, and that's not accurate. Most kids are respectful, well-mannered, they do the right thing. So what you need to do, Eddie, is actually, I've just had a story pop into my head, perfectly illustrates this. Many years ago, I was working with a chap, and it was just coming up to Anzac Day, which I know the rest of the world won't understand Anzac Day, but Anzac is the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. So it's our chaps that went from Australia and New Zealand to war, and we call them Anzacs. So every year we have a day where we commemorate them. Now, we have the people that served and continue to serve now, so not necessarily serve them, but also current servicemen and women. They march and they have various parades and dedications for the fallen comrades plus the people that are serving now. And this chap I was working with, he said, young kids today, they think Anzac Day is just a game. They think it's just something fun to do. And I had to grab him and correct him. I said, you might want to pull your head in and do your research on this. I said, I am a scout leader and I have my scouts stand all night doing vigil at what was one of the training grounds of the Anzac soldiers who came from Western Australia. They stand there all night watching a flame, doing nothing but thinking about those people that served. Okay, so these kids, they have an understanding, and a lot of kids do have that understanding. There's only a few that are disrespectful towards it. And it's the same with everything with kids. The majority of them, the vast majority, do the right thing. It's just a small number that get our attention because the rest of them are just busy doing what they're doing. They get the attention, they get the focus, and they tend to, sadly, represent that generation. So what you will find, Eddie, is if you went and did volunteer work and helped kids, you'd find that most of them are really good kids. So what I would recommend is get involved with kids. Learn about kids. I don't know if you've got children of your own or not. You didn't state that in your question. But if you get involved with kids, you'll see that they're really good. For the vast majority of them, they're great kids. Now, I know this isn't answering a question per se. I'm just getting you to see a bigger picture so you can understand a little better. So I hope that that's given you some clarity, some understanding, maybe a little bit of empathy. Remember some of the things you did as a kid. I certainly remember some of the silly things I did. And, I'm happy to tell my boys because I don't have shame in it. Also want them to know they don't need to do silly stuff. So that's something I've educated them on. However, for you, Eddie, I would say get out, get involved with the kids and spend time with them. Kids are actually pretty cool. Anyway, that's it for this episode. We'll catch you on the next one. Look after yourselves and remember, here's to a good life.